Lee, your thoughts on that performance? Great in parts, a bit disjointed in other parts, I thought.
Yeah, a bit scruffy, and just told the players in there we were comfortable. We never felt in danger of losing it, or I certainly didn't. Yeah, could have put more points on maybe, and maybe that would have been prettier, but you'd take a scruffy win over a sort of a pretty loss, wouldn't you? So we've got the points. Generally every week in this division somebody gets shocked and turned over, and we've made sure it wasn't us today.
How difficult is it to play a side like Newcastle? We're fighting for the championship lives. Yep. No secret, anyone who was here today, it was a very slow pedestrian ruck. They tried to slow it down to suit them.
Yeah, and that's what all defensive teams are trying to do. We can't control the referee and what sort of speed he wants to play the game at. But we needed to be better with the things we could control. We needed to make Newcastle work a bit harder to slow us down. I thought there were too many occasions where we just waited for them to get off and then played the ball, or just stood up in a tackle, waited for them to sort of let go of us and then play. And so a lot of it was our own doing. Then obviously when we're making mistakes in his own half, that gives Newcastle a bit of energy and tires us out. So yeah, there were a lot of things we could have done better there before we start looking at the referee and how he's pleased to play the ball. But as you've seen there, it doesn't really matter who you're playing. Our pitch is small, and if you make it really, really slow, it's difficult sometimes to find points. So we've still done all right there to score 30 odd on our field with it being a slow game.
What aspects of that performance please you the most?
Well, I mean, we've conceded 2 tries very similar, where a couple of outside people have sort of got in front of the ball and left it with a one-on-one tackle that's then been missed. So that's certainly things for us to look at. But apart from that, we've defended this try line solidly. We did 3 or 4 sets in a row, I think, during the second half where we looked pretty comfortable. Newcastle were trying different things, and we've either knocked the ball dead off kick or we've held them up. So there's some plenty of pleasing aspects. It was red hot out there as well today, which came as a bit of a surprise, bearing in mind the recent weather. So I suppose looking at it all, it's a potential banana skin that we've avoided. Yeah, we want to perform well for 80 minutes, but we want points on the board, and that's what we've done today.
2 tries kind of like set you off. I mean, the first one from George Flanagan was quite special, that support play, and then who knew George still could run from 40 yards out.
Yeah, there must have been some slow chasing back there, but yeah, we struggled to adapt, if I'm being honest. The first half, we pretty much from the first set we made breaks in and around the middle but had nobody in support. People were generally waiting for their sort of play or waiting for something to be called for them rather than playing the actual play for what it was, and we missed a few opportunities there, but on that occasion we didn't. George was the closest person. He'd passed the ball from 9, so naturally he was the furthest one forward, and fair play to him. He showed there's still some speed left in those very old legs.
It looked like after half time the side showed more focus, the direct drives and getting the job done in that aspect, Lee. But there was certainly a period in that second half, I think it was a good 20 minutes, where Newcastle looked to frustrate Bradford.
Oh, well, they did. I mean, they've probably watched what happened the last home game here against Barrow, kicking in a touch, frustrating us, getting the ball back, making it slow. And I've been down there. That's what you need to do against teams, especially away from home. You need to slow it down, you need to frustrate them. So we've done a good job, I think. Like I say, it's a potential banana skin when a team's coming like that, desperate, absolutely need to win. Making it slow for you, sometimes it's hard to score points. And I thought we did well because it were comfortable and never in doubt. I never thought, if they score here, it's game on. Once we went a couple of scores up, I thought, it wasn't done, but we were always massively in control. So without it being pretty, without it being exciting to watch or anything like that, we've got the job done.
Young Jaden Myers had a few tough Alex Donaghy kicks to deal with. Yeah,
he's tricky with his kickoffs. Again, it's something else when you play teams down the bottom. They've sort of got nothing to lose almost, so they're all right if now and again it goes straight out and they're just looking to get anything off you. When you're a young player, there's some things you can't quite cover in training sessions regularly. Probably kick-off positions is one of them we haven't covered a lot of. Certainly with Jaden stood there. But he'll learn from that. A couple of times he got it completely wrong. letting it bounce over his head, and other times he were too far in field. So he'll learn from that, and that's good for young players. It's better to be caught out in a game like today than it is in a massive sort of final or playoff encounter where it's one score in it and that costs you a game. So no, he'll be all the better for that.
And you must be pleased with that finish. You know, the last 6-7 minutes, it was all literally Bradford forcing goal line dropouts, and then George getting that second.
Yeah, I don't think we're an unfit bunch. I think we're fit, and in a lot of the games we've finished the stronger. Even in the games where we've been poor and losing, we've sort of been in there fighting towards the end. We came through a patch where we were on his line, conceding dropouts 3 or 4 sets in a row, and then we came out the other end. And yeah, we'd have liked to have scored more points, I think, or I certainly would have done, but generally we were, like I say, comfortable and sort of finished strong.
Uribe Doro made his debut. Your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he was an handful. He obviously hadn't played this level for a bit, but he ran really well, and we're good with his offloads. He's a skillful player as well, which I wasn't totally sure about when he came, but having watched him in training, he's got really good skills. His offloads were good, controlled and selective, and he caused them some problems certainly. And I thought he did well, fitness-wise. To be fair, it was only at the end of those 3-4 sets in a row on his line that he sort of looked a bit leggy. So he'll be all the better for that, and we've obviously recruited a decent player there.
Joe Rundle seems to be making that back row spot his own. I thought he was really strong today.
Yeah, I mean, we're down on options in some positions and not in others. That's one where we've lost a couple of bodies recently. And Joe's got everything physically you want from a back rower, and knowledge-wise and everything like that. He's more than capable of doing it. He found it difficult physically sometimes today because there were a lot of work to do. We were obviously defending quite a bit, but then we were making breaks, and you had to get on your bike. And it is a big adjustment, even though it's only one spot inside. It's still quite a big physical adjustment that he's sort of getting used to. But yeah, there's no surprise from me what he's doing there. He's a really smart player and runs a good line. So yeah, he's done well there and gives us food for thought going forward.
Another game with Jordan Lilly and Lee Gaskell in the halves. Jordan on the back of that 3-year deal. Lee, it just seems really confident. You know, he's got that job security for the next 3 seasons, and certainly looks like he's playing his part.
Yeah, well, he's no different wherever you put him, Jordan. You could play him on the wing and he'll do the same. He's full of energy, and he'll give it his best wherever you put him. Bench, starting, whatever it might be. We made a change, obviously, going into that Batley game, and it worked. And there were no reason to change that. We had a couple of enforced changes we had to make through people missing, but we generally kept everything else pretty much the same. And while it were a bit scruffy-ish today in parts, and a bit of his execution let us down, we've still scored 30 odd points. So yeah, we'll see how people are fitness-wise this week and stuff, but we're going to try keep as much consistency as we can in what we're doing.
Does it look like everybody's come through unscathed?
Yeah, I think so. There were a couple of knocks at half time, but nothing to bring somebody off or make them unable to go back on. So all been well. That 17 are all good. With people training in the background. Brad England's now fit and available. Chester Butler's getting closer. So we're getting a bit healthier, and it's good to come through a game without losing anybody.
The reserve game obviously was cancelled due to Newcastle's inability to raise a side. That reserve game, Lee, did that affect your team selection today, or is it more of a case of those players who weren't in the 17 are going to be a bit frustrated that they didn't get a chance to impress you?
Yeah, it didn't affect team selection. We'd already sort of selected what we wanted on duty today, and then all the other guys that were fit and available were going to get some minutes in there because that was going to be the last run out. More for fitness than anything else, just making sure they were ready to go. But yeah, nothing we can do about it being postponed, so I'm not even sure if there's going to be playoffs in that reserve competition or what, or whether that is it for the reserves. But yeah, frustrating, but the reserves competition and academy competition is frustrating, just how it is. So it's one of them. We train generally quite well anyway, with some intensity, and we train hard, so anyone that comes in the team in these coming weeks who hasn't been in the team will be ready.
Second game without Dec Patton, what's the message to Dec? 'Cause I'm kind of guessing he'll be training hard and wants to get back in the team.
Yeah, he's trained well this week, and he was due to play yesterday, so he's putting his hand up, doing all the right things. End of the day, a lot of it's going to depend on how the team go, because it's such a pivotal position, obviously looking at your halfbacks, and if they carry on and we're scoring points and it's all looking all right, then it's difficult to change some of the pivotal positions without injuries. So yeah, he knows that Lee and Jordan have played well. Without being perfect today, they've still individually sort of played well and created stuff. So yeah, Decker will just have to be patient, but he knows that. He's a smart guy.
I think when you look at it overall, Lee, you mentioned that word comfortable, and I tend to agree. Bradford never looked in any way danger of losing that game, but results elsewhere. Halifax have lost, London have beaten them, and a big shock at Cougar Park. Keighley have beaten Batley, obviously. Sheffield lost on Friday night. Bradford now in third in the table with 5 games to go. It's yours to lose.
It's that tie. I mean, listen, he's still from 3rd down to 8th, I think it is, 9th even. It's so close that you could go from 3rd today and then you finish 9th. So we won't be getting excited just because we're in 3rd this weekend, because that could change next weekend. We can only look at our next game, do what we need to do, and then the league table will look after itself. It'll change so much because of how tight it is with these last 5 weeks. We just want to be in that top 6, so it's about getting that cemented as soon as possible. So we can't control the results, we can just control our own performance.
The club got its IMG grading on Tuesday gone. A number of players who I've spoken to, obviously, about staying next year, they seem to indicate they're being offered a Championship and a Super League contract. Obviously Bradford have the IMG points, Lee. I know I'm going to probably put you on the spot here, but is this outside of your remit? Or?
Absolutely is, yeah. You can put me on the spot all you want, but I know nothing about any of that. I don't get involved in player contracts, IMG points, anything like that. I'm here to do a job short term with Brian, obviously, and that's what we're doing. We literally, apart from doing an interview with yourself every week, we concentrate on the team at Tom at the training ground, and then on a weekend we put some opinions forward when we're asked for it. But other than that, it's a short term thing, which we're now into 5 weeks of left, and hopefully a few more weeks after that.
I'm kind of guessing though, with those options like the Championship, Super League contract, it probably shows Bradford are going to be there or thereabouts. September the 13th, I think it is, when the league table gets published live in terms of the IMG points moving forward.
Can't answer that one for you. Totally out of my mind. I honestly don't get involved in conversations like that. IMG points. As far as we're concerned as a group and all the other teams in the Championship, this looks like, for the foreseeable future, the last season where you can get promoted on the league, on the pitch. And so we've got to be in it to have a crack at it, or else what are we doing? So I'm sure if you sat any of the coaches down from the top 9 teams, we're all going to be saying the same thing. If it's IMG and decided with a lot of off the field stuff, there's nothing we can do about that. But if this is the last season where the winner goes up, we're in with a fighting chance at the moment.
With you being 3rd and 5 games to go, it must feel good though, with the club's ambition to have a top 4 finish. I know there's still 5 games to go, but moving forward, it does feel like Bradford, having that ability to control that.
Well, you can, but like I say, there'll be a lot of twists and turns in the last 5 weeks, depending on who's playing who. You looked at it today, and 4 of the top 8 were playing each other, or more. Actually, with Sheffield playing Featherstone. So a lot of people were playing each other. So naturally, if we got a win today, we were going to move ahead of somebody anyway, or 2 points further afield. Whereas next week, the fixtures are probably different, and then it comes where we play 3, I think, or 4 in the last 4 games of people in the mixer. So yeah, I'd love to say we're going to win them all, but it'd be a fair effort if we did. If we do that, then obviously we're probably going to finish in 3rd at least, aren't we? But there's nothing we can do about the other games. It's so tight. We could be sat here today celebrating that we're in 3rd spot, but finish 8th at the end of the season, and then what was the point? So we won't get too excited about being 3rd now. It means absolutely nothing. We need to go prepare properly for what's going to be a really, really tough challenge at Swinton next week.
I'm saying further on from that, Lee, about obviously does that help when you've got experience in the changing room, like the team getting up to 3rd, perhaps some of the younger players might see the table and think, oh hang on, sort of perhaps keep the feet on the ground and remind them, as you say, that you can yo-yo in the next few weeks.
I mean, it's not something we mentioned, to be honest. You can see a couple of individuals who say, oh, if we win here, we can go there, so and so's playing so and so, and then sometimes you get in the changing room and someone's checking the phone, but it's not something we mention as a group. We don't say, oh look, they're playing against them today, and if we win, once you take your eye off the ball you get beat. And I think in some occasions this year we've done that. We've looked at what could happen elsewhere, or we've looked further down the track and we've lost it in that particular game. So we were making sure that that wasn't going to be us today, and it'll be a similar request this week. Swinton are fighting for their life, and some other results and other teams playing each other down at the bottom means they're going to be right in the mixer. Keighley winning, Barrow play Whitehaven tomorrow. Swinton are going to be desperate. I know for a fact they're targeting Bradford at home as a potential one of the remaining games they can win. They were targeting yesterday but have come close, but they're certainly targeting Bradford at home as 2 points for them in their quest to stay up. We've got to make sure that we're as desperate as what they are for what we want out of the season.
So this time of year, teams at the bottom are as dangerous opponent as teams at the top, aren't they? Sometimes even more so, perhaps, because, as you say, they need any point they can get. Yeah,
and then once time starts running out towards the back end, you're running out of chances. And some of these teams, like Newcastle today, probably had to come here and win. They've probably literally can't lose another game now, or they're probably gone. Like I say, Swinton, I know for a fact, are targeting us at home for them next week as one that they've earmarked as a win, because they're still going to need a couple of wins out of these last few games. Every week's a different challenge. We go from a narrow pitch that we play on this week to a wide, big Union field next week at Swinton. Obviously it's away. They've come off the back of a good performance, confidence building sort of performance yesterday. So yeah, it's a different challenge, and one that we'll be setting our players their own challenges to make sure that our story is bigger than what Swinton's is.
And you must be pleased though with the concentration and the focus, you know, as you say, in this sort of game when it was perhaps feeling a little bit comfy against it was a slowish game. It'd been easy for minds to perhaps drift a little bit when you were sort of a couple of scores ahead and you're thinking, we've got this.
I would have liked it to be more comfortable, but I never felt in danger of it getting too close for comfort towards the end. More because, well, some of the defence that we put on show at times, but then we'd just do something well that just got us out of that patch. Like I say, I think that were good for us, defending the 3 or 4 sets on us line in a row after we'd conceded not long before that. I thought that were good for us going forward. Good for us to look at on video of what we do well. But yeah, we'll as we have done really since we've took over, we've concentrated on ourselves, trying to make sure that we perform well for as long as we possibly can in games. But like I say, every week's a different challenge. Swinton's going to be completely different next week to this, and then Featherstone at home the week after, completely different to that. And Batley, last game on a slope, playing there was different. I knew we'd turn up at Batley. I knew we'd perform and show up well. I didn't know if we'd turn up well today. And while it wasn't perfect, we've done what we needed to do.